A 10-year-old child had to watch his father being abducted from their home. The father was an Indian Army Jawan who was later killed. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our focus continues on the tragic situation in Manipur, where a devastated family is wondering why an army Jawan has been targeted while he came home on leave. The Jawan, who has been identified as Sepoy Serto Thangthang Kom, was home on leave. He worked with the Assam Regiment. He served rather with the Assam Regiment and had been re-engaged with the Defense Services Corps. Now, it's not clear why the Jawan was targeted. Why was he targeted in particular when he was coming home on leave? And imagine that child who had to witness this happen to his father. But in the last few weeks, as the Manipur crisis enters its fifth month, the army has been targeted. It has even been vilified. Lawmakers have demanded the replacement of the Assam rifles that functions operationally directly under the army. And we have continued to see bursts of sporadic fresh violence and clashes between both communities as thousands of weapons continue to remain in the hands of civilians. What is the way ahead, and why has Manipur fallen off the national media attention, the national public debate, when now the army is being targeted? There are other ways in which the army has been targeted, including blockades by protesters on the highways of Manipur. On our program today, I want to introduce a very special guest. We bring back today General Himalay Singh. He is not just a military veteran of very senior ranking, he also enjoys a very special stature in the Northeast. He's the first officer of this rank from the entire Northeast, and he's been a voice calling for reconciliation and peace in Manipur. Thank you for speaking to us, sir. And I want to start by asking you, as a general, to see a Jawan who's come home on leave, who's out on the porch of his home playing with his son, taken from his home, later killed. We don't know why this officer was, rather this Jawan was targeted. He doesn't even belong to either of the warring communities. He's neither Meitei nor Kuki. He's from the tiny minority of the Kom community, the same community as Mary Kom. But he's an Indian soldier, an Indian Jawan who came home to meet his family. Sir, I want to start by asking you your thoughts.
First of all, Barkha, a soldier being killed anywhere in the country or in my state is a very, very serious issue and extremely unfortunate. And I really feel very sad for the family and for his 10-year-old boy. Having said that, I do not know why such a step was taken by anyone. As of now, I have been told by the authorities that they haven't got much of a lead on the situation or the motive behind such a killing. I totally condemned such an act, such a cowardice act, killing a Jawan on his leave. And that too, I am told that he just dropped his daughter a few days back to Shillong for her graduation, studies there. So I strongly oppose, and the perpetrators, whosoever he may be, they may be, must be brought to book.
Jawan would be targeted. He does not belong to either of the clashing communities, but a Jawan is a Jawan. He's an Indian first before we look at him through his ethnicity. And are you concerned? You know, when we were speaking earlier to you yesterday, you said this has now gone too far. This is an army Jawan. I mean, we don't know why he's been targeted, but it shows to you the situation is still very, very volatile and very, very dangerous in your home state.
The situation here over the last over 4.5 months has seen some incremental changes. I can see that from the point of view of administration and otherwise. But I don't see a proper direction. The direction towards peace coming anytime soon. I I do not think that we can call this where we can a situation where people can call it. It's a very difficult situation. I haven't seen much improvement in that way. What I said is some incremental efforts by the agencies are there, but nothing much has changed. And I say very, very clearly once again to you that situation cannot go on like this further. It must be stopped, and situation must be brought under control as early as possible. Otherwise, the sufferings of the uh, people, the common people, will increase more and more.
General Singh, I want you to talk a little bit about the way the army and the Assam Rifles have been targeted. Now, in insurgency situations, and you have served in insurgency situations, you have served in Kargil, you have seen war and battle. In insurgency situations, it is sometimes the army will find itself against a section of the population that may be supporting secessionists, but this is not that situation. Two this is two sections of Indians fighting with each other. When you look at the way the Assam Rifles has been targeted, General Singh, when you look at the way the army is soldiers are having to show their identity cards to protesters who stop them on the highways of Manipur, how do you feel as a general?
Uh, Targeting the security forces for whatever reason, I don't subscribe to that. In fact, the security forces must be free to move around at any wherever their operations need to get them there. Targeting Assam rifles is something that I have seen here over a period quite some time now, and I don't subscribe to that. And I'm very sure that authorities are taking that into consideration during their operation planning, and they're making efforts to do that. Uh, uh, I am told if you are leading towards the Mera Paibis or the women folks, which happened a few days back in the southern side of the state, uh, I think the reason what they are doing is more out of suspicion, more out of rumors that the public is getting into a kind of a situation where emotions are charged, and then the entire so these things have to be managed. These things have to be controlled by the state, and the security forces will have to get on with such challenging situations with greater involvement, or maybe the lady police or whatever. They have to do something. Otherwise, blocking the security forces is not a good sign for any kind of peace resolution or bringing peace to the state.
General Singh, we've also seen the police. You're seeing those pictures now. The police and the army clash in instances. This is also not good for the security grid. As you mentioned, the Mira Paibis, the women protesters from the Meitei community have also clashed. What would this be doing to the morale of soldiers on the ground?
I can tell you that they are operating under very, very difficult circumstances, never seen in other parts of the country. I am sure that they will find ways and means how to tackle such situation, and they are doing it. And they are doing it very successfully so far. And I'm sure that these can be got around without actually uh, I think with more media management, or I will say more openness towards the operations they are doing. Because I'll tell you, most of these Merapibis are going on emotions and also with uh, suspicious of everything they see around because of the situation here. So therefore we'll have to manage this carefully, because any kind of violence towards these Merapibis will also be very, very unfortunate. So we'll have to play it by the ears. We cannot use wanton force, to disperse them also.
Yes.
And I'm happy to say that the security forces are managing reasonably. Yeah.
Yes, in fact, the military has shown a large measure of restraint with the Mira Paibis, even when individual soldiers have been asked to furnish proof of identity, proof of ethnicity, being blocked, being provoked. And I completely agree with you, General Singh. Now, my question is, the army has also been pulled in, forcibly pulled into, it's been accused of bias, it's been accused of all kinds of things, it's been drawn into a controversy over the Editors Guild report, and it doesn't have the AFSPA cover across the state. In such a situation, what would be your suggestions to bring the situation under control and leave the army out of it? There are veterans who are suggesting take the army out of the situation, send the army only to the border, bring in the police, leave it to the police, leave it to the paramilitary. How do you see it? Because the army is being embroiled in an internal situation that is not its job, strictly speaking, to fix.
I totally agree with some of the veterans who have suggested this, because army cannot be seen to be or embroiled in such kind of a situation. They are not trained. The army soldiers are not trained nor equipped for such situations where they have to deal with large number of civilian crowds. I totally agree that they should be delinked, or they should be they should be delinked from such kind of a situation. The only point you mentioned about Armed Forces Special Power Act, as you know, that 19 police stations comprise hardly about 3 or maybe less than 4% of the geographical area of Manipur. So we should not read too much into that, except for the fact that these 4% of the police stations also has large number of uh, is reported to be a large number of weapons are reported to be in these areas. To that extent, I strongly feel that the police and other forces should be employed for recovery of these weapons. The army, as a last resort, uh, can be considered later, not at this stage, and they should not be embroiled at this stage, because it brings a bad name. Because after all, the army, the military, is the last resort of the country, and they should not get embroiled in these kind of situations.
So you would suggest taking the army out of the role of having to manage the law and order in Manipur.
Given the see, one can't blanketly say that army should not be involved, because it's a very, very sensitive area. And the implications of a very, very unstable area in Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, these have to be kept in mind, and it has got far-reaching external dimensions as well. Therefore, army cannot be delinked from the entire situation at all. But what I'm saying is that getting into the crowd management mode, directly dealing with huge crowds, that is what I feel that the army, if possible, should be kept away from such situations. Whereas the situation, I again repeat, that the situation in the overall context of national security is far more serious than what you see in these visuals.
Let's talk about
Therefore, the
that. Let's
army. has to be
Yes.
somehow kept in the loop, and army will eventually have to manage the situation. I'm only referring to specific incidents which are happening
Yes. Let me ask you, let's talk about the larger national security implications. Obviously, India's adversaries will enjoy India's army being embroiled in these controversies, and it's so important, therefore, to keep them away from it. And the army is very upset privately, cannot express it publicly, and has issued two statements saying we operate without fear or favor. And I really feel for what the soldiers are going through on the ground. Now, talk a little bit about the national security implications. This is Manipur. It shares a border with Myanmar. There is China in the larger neighborhood. What are the national security implications of the fifth month of this crisis?
uh, my view on national security issues relate to an unstable neighborhood in Myanmar, where a large number of insurgent groups actually operate, and also in the form of PDF. They are fighting the Myanmar army, and some of the militant groups who are allegedly getting involved slowly in Manipur are also involved on the other side of the border. So it's a very serious situation to begin with. Secondly, you have the you have certain elements align or opposed to various national interests across the border. So therefore, I won't like to talk too much on this in public, but the intelligence agencies and national security establishment will definitely study this. There is a national security issue here because of the neighborhood issues, and also the interests of the Chinese interest there. You know what is happening in the northern borders in Arunachal, and then you have uh, many insurgent groups who are yet to actually get into a kind of a agreement with the government of India. So it's a nightmare as far as the security establishment is concerned. At least for me, it is.
Yes, absolutely. You said in the beginning that there is no direction for peace. If you had to offer a framework for how to move forward, what would it be?
But once I mentioned to you in the last interview that since the parties involved here are not seeing eye to eye for the last 4.5 months, now I will like to believe that the central agencies and the central authorities give it a little more serious thought and make sure that they sit together, the parties sit together, and they must make use of all the resources at their command. And if need be, they should be made to agree, to talk at least.
How?
There is a
How,
point
sir?
here that
How?
unless you have
How?
a dialogue,
How?
I think my opinion is that the Indian establishment has got the wherewithal to make them agree.
Right. Tell me, what do we do
Yeah.
about the men with arms? What do we do about the guns, the mortars, the sort of, the high caliber weapons that are in civilian control? What do we do about that before we talk about dialogue?
Simple. They have to be disarmed. They have to be disarmed on both sides. And the violence, the areas where the violence are taking place, most of them are under AFSPA in any case. So therefore, I would suggest that they have to be disarmed be disarmed from both the sides of warring these groups, and they have to be disarmed as early as possible. A weaponized society is not only dangerous today, it will be dangerous tomorrow. So it will be more dangerous tomorrow. So therefore, they have to be disarmed, and for that, I would say that certain elements of the military and army may have to be employed as early as possible.
So, are you suggesting, sir, that force may have to be used to disarm civilians on both sides? If necessary, force needs to be used to disarm those with guns who shouldn't, or and other weapons who should not be having guns. If necessary, use force.
Yes, if necessary, use force, but that has to be accompanied by, accompanied by dialogue, talk, and all these other activities of, getting the, internally displaced people, the medical and various opening of national highways, and look at the SU agreement, suspension of. So it has to be all over, approach, all over. You cannot take this one by one. It has to be a holistic approach, encompassing all this what I have told you together.
Right. Let me ask you a last question, General Singh. When you see the way the Assam Rifles has been literally targeted, when you see what's happened with this Jawan, when you see the Mira Paibis taking on the army, if you had to, what concerns you the most? What worries you the most? You're the first Lieutenant General from the Northeast, but Manipur is also your home state. What worries you the most, sir?
I have said this partially in your previous question. My worry would be of national security impact on national security. That will be my main concern. And the second would be the arms and weapons that are flowing in almost the entire state, and and it is a very highly weaponized society, as I said. So this is the most worrying kind of a situation that I find is these two: the weapons and also the national security issues. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I can see that you're getting a phone call, so we'll let you go and take that call. Thank you for talking to us. Very, very wise words as always. I just hope somebody's listening because, as you said, this cannot go on any longer. General Singh, the first Lieutenant General from all of the Northeast. Manipur is your home state. You've served in war. You have been a hero in Kargil. You are an icon for the Northeast. Thank you for talking to us very much. Take care, sir.
Thank you very much, Barkha. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.